Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind, these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy.
All right, folks, I wanted to take a look at Paysafe today. I had somebody requested, and previously folks have been very interested in Paysafe, I think because of generally the fintech stocks that we have covered on this channel. And it's been a long, tough road, right, for Paysafe. These boxes in white here that you see are areas of consolidation that then led to a next leg down. And, what I've been looking for recently, so this is where we're situated now, what I've been looking for recently is a couple of things. So one, a few weeks back, was looking for a break of this downtrend channel, which it did. And let me just change this color. I'm going to be a little neurotic here for moments. And now it's essentially consolidating out of a down channel. It's consolidating sideways. Nothing wrong with that. It's not this massive rebound. I don't know if folks are still looking for a massive rebound, but it's not making a massive rebound, but it is consolidating. And one thing that I had mentioned in my previous videos on Paysafe, why I was pointing out these previous areas of consolidation, yes, they led to a next leg down, but the advantage there is you can at least put in the consolidation range, right, aka the rectangle or the box that it's trading in. And once it breaks from that box, you can say, okay, this is maybe like the next move. And oftentimes one candle isn't enough, right? The first candle sometimes can fool you. And you see here, the candle body came out the top, but then it couldn't hold there, right? There was no strength over that box. And so it quickly came back down into it. Or if that did fool you, hopefully once it came back down into the box, you're sort of like, okay, this trade is a bust and I'm not gonna take huge losses on this. But in any case, that's the advantage to it putting in a range. And so now it's, a channel is also just a different type of range. It's just not necessarily sideways. But this is relatively sideways, slightly up at the moment, and we'll see what happens. It's coming to a few interesting points. So I'll add a little bit in here to the chart. There's developed, now that the price is down where it is, a pretty strong level here at 427. I don't know why it's a random, it certainly doesn't seem like there's a strong psychological component to 427, but in any case, you see here, this is where it was trying to build support on these 4 candles, I guess technically 5 candles, and then it flipped it to resistance here on this candle, which then set off this downtrend. And when it tried to reverse and come back up, that's exactly where it hit resistance again, confirmed resistance, sold off again, and now it's making yet another, this is the third recent attempt at it, and it got rejected up there again and is coming down. And I don't know if the market is generally feeling like the market cap that Paysafe has around, say, 425 is the right market cap, and that's why it keeps, or is the upper limits of the right market cap, and that's why it keeps sort of rejecting off. I don't know, but for whatever reason, there is certainly a lot of resistance there. Now it's not that far from it at this point. I mean, the stock being so low priced, the other thing to think about is it increased 10 cents on Friday, which means that it went up over 2.5%. So I mean, these would have to be some relatively big percentage gains in order to make yet another attempt at 427, but it could certainly do it in the near future. We'll have to see. But will the fourth time be the charm is the question. Has the selling pressure that has previously won every time that it's reached that level, has that been exhausted, right? At some point, the hope is you keep going back to that same level and the selling pressure has just been exhausted. It's gone. And that could then give you a relatively smooth transition through that previous resistance level and then making your way to the next one, which I think, there could be a little something here around 1450. You see that's where these 3 topped out, but it might not be anything tremendously strong because it's just going off of 3 candles in the relatively recent past. But otherwise, I have this 502, which we could just call $5 there. Not necessarily because that's where this topped off, but more so because that would kick off the price getting into this huge gap, which would give it run room from 5 to 685. And that's even if you pull in like this range. If you pull in up here, this gives it run room up over $7. So it gives it $2 of run room in a stock that would be just about at about $5 when it kicked off that $2 run. Right, so huge percentage increases available to it as it were to make its way in there. Now, obviously, that's everyone's hope on the bullish side, right? That it's going to come fill this gap. But that's what I'm looking for first. Can it get situated over this 427 area? And then what does it do when it hits this downtrend resistance? This previous downtrend support may act as downtrend resistance if and when it intersects with it. We'll have to see how strong that is. And then, yeah, of course, what happens at 5? I'd be kind of surprised if on its first attempt at 5, I know I'm speaking as though this is a certainty, but this is just a hypothetical situation. I don't know that it will get to 5. So let's just keep that in mind. Be very clear about that. But I'd be very surprised if it kind of went through here on its first attempt and just kind of started to fill the gap. I'd be very, very surprised unless there's some tremendous catalyst. Or, retail steps in and is really sort of like hammering the stock home or something. I would be more apt to assume it's going to take an attempt or 2 or 3 for it to break that. And then even then it might break it and come back down and retest it. And on that reconfirmation might be the really good opportunity for it to fly. Especially just knowing that even if it breaks this 427 on the next attempt, it will have taken that 4 times to get through it. So I know I'm sort of belaboring this point, but I do think that these levels in a stock that's been beaten down so dramatically as Paysafe has, I mean, look at the year that it had, right? This was almost $20. So just keeping that all in perspective, I think that these very incremental changes that we see down here at a floor that I don't necessarily think anyone thought Paysafe was going to be dealing with, trading the $3, I think that it's important and that it gives sort of signs and signals, because this is an enormous trend to try to reverse. And so turning this ship around is going to be an immaculate task. And so, but it's going to start with a few small steps, right? And so those are the things that I'm trying to discover. Now, I don't even know if it's going to do it or what's going to happen. It's sort of making this interesting kind of like a reverse check mark, kind of a backwards check mark kind of configuration at the moment. So we'll have to see what it wants to do when it breaks this current channel. But if it comes down further, then we'll just deal with it then, and try to figure out what's going on at that point. I mean, I guess if it's helpful at all, we could put in a little level down here. I would imagine that there's probably some solid support, or at least attempted support here, just under 350. And then the next one would probably be that psychological level of 3, right? Because down here you have this wick coming to 318, so there's just not much more to go off of, to be honest, as we get down here. I mean, this might be even down a little further. It's probably a bit of a safer area to put it in here. It's like 337. But yeah, that's my take on Paysafe. Just kind of trying to read the tea leaves and try to figure out when it might think about filling this gap, or if it's going to come down further, like what that could look like, and how much time it might spend in between too, right? That's the other thing. It could spend a tremendously long time consolidating between 337 and 427, or 337 and 502 or something like that. Who knows? But all right, folks. I hope you have had a nice weekend and that you have a good start to your trading week tomorrow. And I appreciate you watching. I will see you in the next video.